Shalom Israel. Adam Smith, the eminent and famed economist and financial analyst, in his magnum opus, The Wealth of Nations, March 9, 1776, concluded as follows. It is not from the benevolence of the butcher, nor the baker, nor the brewer, that food is put on your dinner table, but from the regards, watch this, to his own self-interest. Hello, this is your high priest bringing you word on this first week of January 2019. I have received letters and text messages and messenger text from different people asking me questions about tithing in the synagogue, particularly in the nascent and emerging Igbo synagogues that are spreading all over the place in Nigeria. This is a very important question that has been weighing heavily on their minds, and today I'm going to attempt to excavate the concept of tithing. And I deployed the excerpt from Adam Smith's iconic book, The Wealth of Nations, to help clarify this point. They asked, clarification about tithing, because many of them have been in Pentecostal churches where tithing seems to be a hot button, topic, where many of them, have been pauperized and impoverished through tithing, because their pastors have used the concept or the issue of tithing to, disenfranchise them, to take a lot of their money, and now they are exhausted. The reason why tithing is forbidden is because it was a conception that was deployed in ancient Israel when the temples were when the first and second temple were in existence. The first temple, was destroyed by the Neo-Babylonian Empire under the reign of Nebuchadnezzar II in 586 BCE, before the Common Era. And then the temple was rebuilt, and it lasted for thousands of years, and then was destroyed again by the Romans in 70 CE, Common Era. It was called the Common Era during the era of Christ, and then it has not been rebuilt. So when the temples were in existence during those periods, there were Levites. There were no rabbis. There were no priests. They were Levites, people from the Levitical lineage. Aaron, the brother of Moses, was a Levite, and then he was one of the Levites that worked in the temple, not the synagogue. There's a difference between synagogue and temple. A synagogue is a place of worship for Jews, but temple is a place of worship as well as a place of their national life, a place of their cultural identity, a place where they go to learn, a place of different aspects of Jewish life. So we don't have temples anymore, even though there is a plan to build a third temple, which is still in the works. But it was a mitzvah, a commandment to the Levite to accept tithing, to accept some kind of tithe from the congregation, and the tithe was in form of livestock, in form of grains and crops, and wine from the grapes, and fruits from the farmland. Now, after the temples collapsed, because they were destroyed, the first destroyed by the Babylonians in 586 BCE, before the Common Era, and the second one was destroyed by the Romans in 70 CE, Common Era, during the era of Christ, during the time of Christ. The Romans, destroyed the temple as a retaliation against the Jews for their revolt against Roman occupation. So now, ever since that time, there has never been a temple. Therefore, if there is no temple and there is no Levite, then you cannot justify collection of tithe. I know that the Christian pastors have, used this argument to collect tithe from their members. That is out of order. They are not supposed to collect tithe because they are not operating a temple. It's only during the temple period with the Levite, not the pastor, not the rabbi, not the priest, that has the mandate to collect tithe from members. It was only the Levite. And the reason why the Levite had to collect the tithe was because the Levites had no inheritance. They were not allowed to possess land. They were not allowed to own real estate. They were not allowed to own any material property. It was only through the tithing from the members that they were able to feed their families, take care of the temple, and then perform other human activities. Now that there is no temple, we only have synagogues and other places of worship. There is no justification to collect tithe. Pastors have deployed this confusion in the text to fleece their members with an almost erotic and titillating intensity. They are not supposed to be collecting tithe because they are not Levites, and it was only people from the lineage of Aaron, Moses' brother, that were entitled to collect tithe because they were part of the enduring and everlasting priesthood. That means even if a member of their lineage passes away, one other person from the same lineage would take his place. That's everlasting priesthood. It does not change hand. Jesus Christ himself was not a Levite. He was not from the tribe of Levi. He was from the tribe of Judah. He never collected tithe because he was not in his place to collect tithe because he was not a Levite. Apostle Peter was also from the tribe of Judah. As an apostle, he did not collect tithe. The same thing with Apostle Paul. Apostle Paul was from the tribe of Benjamin. He was not from the tribe of Levi. He was not a Levite. He never collected tithe. But pastors have been collecting tithe from their members, and they have been acting out of order because they are not operating a temple. They are operating churches. They are operating some other religious spheres and spaces. So I am so people are asking me because they're about to make the transition from the church to the synagogue, and they're asking me that the tithe they have been the pastors have been receiving from them have exhausted them. They are frustrated. Now, if I'm convincing them to make the transition from the church to the synagogue, are they going to face the same existential anguish like they have faced in all the days they have worshipped in Christian churches? Now, that's a very legitimate question, and I'm going to try to excavate and deconstruct that right now. Now, the question that should rather be on everybody's mind is, how does a synagogue support its operations if the high priest or the rabbi does not receive tithe? There are several ways to test this. For a synagogue to be in operation, you cannot justify collection of tithe. Tithing is forbidden in the synagogue. I gotta make that absolutely clear. However, there are various innovative ways that high priests, rabbis can, especially those operating in Igbo Jewish synagogues, can support their ministry and support the rabbis and support the high priest and support the worship leaders and the cantors, because they have to take care of their needs, their everyday needs. So one of the ways they can do that is what is referred to as the patron system. The patron system. Let me pull my whiteboard out, and I'm gonna try to make some notes here. the patron system. So let me try to write it down. Sometimes I might find myself out of the camera range, but I'm gonna come right back to it. But so the patron system. So let me mark that as number 1. Patron system. PATRON. Patron system. Okay, let me write the word system too. Right there, the patron system. So with this system, synagogues can generate funds for the operation of their synagogue or shul. Synagogue is another word for shul. Shul is one of those words, I think, from the Sephardic or Ashkenazi language. So it's called shul or synagogue. A synonym for shul is a synagogue. Synagogue is the one that we're conversant with. And sometimes if I miss 1 or 2 letters, please pardon me. So the patron system is a system in which a member or members of the synagogue purchase seats. They purchase seats from the synagogue. Now, purchasing seat does not mean you go to the local market and buy those cheap, inexpensive plastic chairs. That's not what purchasing of seat is. It's purchasing a spot in the synagogue, maybe a window seat or a front row seat for 1 year for members of your family. So you purchase them at a price or at a value that has been established by the management or by the leaders of the synagogue, or by the board of trustees of the synagogue or the board of directors of the synagogue. They purchase the seat. No one will sit on that seat. Every time they come to the synagogue, either for the Friday evening Shabbat service or the Saturday morning Shabbat service, they will sit on that seat. Or that's the spot of their choice. Maybe it's in the front row or by the window or under the fan or close to the air conditioner. That is their seat. That is through the patron system. Another strategy that synagogues can use to generate funds to run their synagogue is through what is called the tzedakah box. Tzedakah box. Let me try to explain that too. Tzedakah box. I'll write it. That's TZEDAKAH box. Tzedakah box. Tzedakah box. Tzedakah box is a box in which people will put an offering envelope with money. It's not, even since people are not being audited or being teleguided or being monitored regarding how much they put in, people are expected to be benevolent. They must give their best offering, their best love gift. For Elohim, for Adonai, for the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So people are required to show maturity and great sense of benevolence. So that's the tzedakah box. They put their money there every time they come to the synagogue. And now let me make this clear: just because you bought a seat based on the patron system does not mean you are absorbed. Does not mean you are excluded from contributing into the tzedakah box. You gotta also put your benevolent offering into the tzedakah box for the operation of the synagogue. Another important system for generating fund for the synagogue is the yearly contribution, the yearly dues that synagogue members, congregation members must have to make toward the sustenance of their synagogue, the yearly gift. So yearly contribution or yearly or annual contribution Annual dues. I don't have enough space to write contribution, but annual dues. That's bullet point number 4. Annual dues. That's another way that the high priest or the rabbi or the worship leader or any other authority in the synagogue can raise money for the sustenance of the synagogue. And then there are other ways, like if a rabbi is coming from outside to come and speak, or to come and fellowship with the congregation, they can raise a love offering. So love offering for that rabbi. So they're gonna raise a love offering. Oh, I raised the 5. Okay, the love offering for that rabbi. So assuming you have a synagogue called Or Shekinah, or whatever you call your synagogue, or Temple Emmanuel, or Temple Odiva, Temple Ovadiah, whatever you call your synagogue. Maybe some, from time to time, you want to bring in outside rabbis or worship leaders or high priests, because it's always a good idea to have a fresh perspective within your synagogue. So you're going to raise a love offering. So you can also support your synagogue from a part of or percentage of this love offering. But the tenth, which is the tithe, the tenth as a tithe of your income is forbidden, because it was only in the hands of the Levite, in the hands of the Levite, that the tenth, that means the tenth of your income will be taken. Now, the irony of tithe is that tithe requires that you pay only tenth of your income to the pastor. But if a synagogue deploys all these various ways of raising money, you find out that people are actually paying more than tenth of their income for the operation of their local synagogue. So too much emphasis has been laid on the tenth of your 1/10 of your income, 1/10. But the irony is that people actually pay more than tenth to their synagogues. If the synagogue management or the board of trustees or board of directors deploy these innovative measures to raise money for the synagogue. I am a trained teacher, so sometimes we use the process of perseveration. Perseveration means repetition. You got to repeat a concept over and over again for people to internalize it. So let me go through our list again. The first is a patron system. That's you purchase a seat in the synagogue. You purchase a spot by the window, by the front row, or by under the fan, or wherever you choose, for 1 year for members of your family. Then another way is through the Tzedakah box. Tzedakah box. It's actually number 3. Tzedakah box is where you put a sizable amount of money or love gift to the synagogue, and you put it in the Tzedakah box. Then the next one is yearly or annual dues or contributions you make to support your synagogue, because your synagogue has to open its doors. And then the other one is a love offering. Love offering. Now, the list is not exhaustive, but it's just a matter of nomenclature. You might decide, maybe your child is your son is having a bar mitzvah, or your daughter is having a bat mitzvah. You can use that opportunity to support your local synagogue, because of what God has done for you, because of what Adonai Elohim has done for you, because of what the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob has done for you. You can also support your local synagogue with substantial cash contribution. Now, so today's podcast is an attempt to clarify this very very question that a lot of people have asked me about. I know I may have disappointed you with my response, because people were thinking that since it's a synagogue, the people who built the synagogue, or the people who have been operating the synagogue, must have a way to use their own personal income to support the synagogue. That's not nothing can be further from the truth. The synagogue is a congregation of Jewish adherents. They are the ones who will support their synagogues. They are the ones who would uplift their rabbi or their worship leader, or whatever name he is called. Now, I deployed the quotation from Adam Smith's iconic text, called "The Wealth of Nations," just to show the juxtaposition and contradictions that exist in Christian churches, where the pastors have leveraged this conception of tithing to impoverish and take so much money from their church members. They are doing this not because they are trying to create a pathway for you to go to heaven or for you to receive salvation. They are doing it to fulfill and satisfy their own pecuniary and pecuniary monetary aspirations. They are doing it for what they can get out of you, and they try to create the boogeyman effect. They try to they try to kind of create fear, drive fear into people's hearts, that if you don't pay your tithe, you're not going to make it to heaven. The size of your tithe will determine the size of your harvest. They're going to say things like that. If you give a little tithe, then your harvest will be little. And the reverse is also true. If you give a tithe that is substantial, that is the tenth of your income, then that will be the way God is going to bless you. That is the way you're creating the pathway for you to go to heaven. And many people and many members of the congregation, they believe whatever their pastor says. The word of the pastor is law. They have not developed the competency for skepticism, for scrutiny, for Socratic inquiry. So all whatever the pastor tells them. But so it's about time you gotta begin to question. You got to begin to interrogate and scrutinize your pastors. Whatever, when they tell you something, you gotta go back to the Bible. You gotta go back to the text and read between the lines and form your own balanced judgment. You gotta develop a critical thinking acuity. You gotta develop skill sets of inquiry. You have to go to the Bible, read the text. Sometimes they just read the text and interpret it in a way that it benefits them. It satisfies their pecuniary aspirations. In a way that they interpret the Bible in a way that it puts more money in their hands. Adam Smith captured it succinctly in a way that no one has ever captured it. That it is not out of the benevolence of the butcher, the one who slaughters the animal in the abattoir, or the brewer, the one who makes all the beers and the wines and the alcoholic beverages, nor the baker, the one who bakes bread, bakes the cake, the muffin. It is not out of their benevolence that they're doing all of that. It is not because they're very kind, they love you so much that they're doing all of that. They're putting all of that food on your dinner table. It is because of what they want to get out of their effort. They are doing it from the regards to their own self-interest. So everything is about self. These people are narcissistic. These people, they just, want to cater to their own self-interest. The pastors, they create this fear. The pastors are no more than oil snake salesmen who promise you multiple cure from a single remedy. They are Melvillian, confidence men. They build confidence that if you come to their church enough and pay enough money, you're gonna make it to heaven. Nothing can be farther from the truth. You gotta develop your own competencies for skepticism. You gotta ask questions. You gotta interrogate a phenomenon. You gotta question what it is they are telling you. You gotta compare it with what the sages have written in the scriptures to see if the promises they are making to you about going to heaven lines up. If it lines up with what it is that has been written in the text. That is how you become a proactive member of the congregation. But this is not about maligning or creating some kind of calumny against or remonstrating against pastors and members of the clergy, but it is about kind of creating awareness for the Igbo Jews that have been in the churches, and now they want to make the transition to the synagogues. So, by going to the synagogue, that does not absolve you from your obligation towards your synagogue. You still have to support your synagogue. I've said it. The irony is that people actually, put more money toward the support of their synagogue than, the 10% or the 10th of their income that they have been paying to their, their churches. So it's very, very important for you to remember all the points I've made here. It's your synagogue. You don't want the doors of your synagogue to be shut. You got to make sure you contribute. Oh, one more thing. Synagogue, board of trustees can also have an outreach, program where they, communicate their needs to well-established Jewish synagogues around the world. Like synagogues in Israel, synagogues in the United States, in Australia, in Belgium, in Netherlands, in wherever, because there are synagogues everywhere, and they have extra resources and assets. They have Torah scrolls that they are no longer using, which they can part with. They have talit that extra talit or surplus talit, surplus Mishnah, surplus Tanakh, surplus books. Oh, by the way, I bought this book. Let me just show you. I bought this book. So this book is called Jewish books are read from the right to the left, not from the left to the right as we read in English books. So this is called the Mishkan Tefillah. So Mishkan Tefillah, this is for the Reformed European, I think North American Jewry. Reformed Tefillah. I had to buy this. It's a Siddur. Siddur is just a prayer book. You can use this for the evening Friday Shabbat service or the morning Saturday Shabbat service. So let me just show you how you can use this Siddur. And I also ordered some other text that we're going to be using in our upcoming synagogue. Because people have been writing me to open a synagogue. It costs a lot of money. And then I'm also using the medium to ask for support from Jewish organizations around the world, and that's going to be a different video. But this is a Siddur that I placed order from. So we read it from the right to the left. So from the right to the left, just like Muslims read their text. So and then you open it from the back. you open Jewish text from the back, not not from the front. Okay, so for example, if you look at this book, so this is this book. So you open it. This one is an English. It's called a Primary Handwriting and Journal Sketchbook. So you open it from the left to the right, and then so you read from the left to the right. See, you read from the left to the right. You open it from the left to the right. So that's how you open English text. But Jewish text are opened from the right to the left, like this. So let me pull back a little. So you open it from the right to the left, okay, and then you can see the text. So these are like a Hebrew text. Oh, and this Siddur is let me see if you can read the first. If you can see the first page. The first page is unnumbered, but it's counted. So that's the first page with some information. So it's called Mishkan Tefillah, a Reform Siddur, URJ Biennial Preview Edition. So this one is for weekdays, Shabbat, festivals, and other occasions of public worship. So, so why I like this book is because if you cannot read the Hebrew or this kind of text, you're also gonna find the same word or the same sentence in English. So everything that is written in Hebrew is also in English, so that you can follow along in case you are not proficient in Hebrew. And I'm asking Igbo Jews to also have an investment in learning the Hebrew language, because it's going to help you, so that when you go to a synagogue where Hebrew is is used for the service, so that you cannot be left behind. So, but this book is good. So this page is left without a word. So you can see the content. So if it's an English text, the content would have been over here in the back. The content would have been in the back, but the content is actually it would have been in the front, but the content is in the back. But for Jews, this is actually their own front. For Jew European and for Western Jews, so this is the front of the text. I know those of us who are just re-emerging as Jews, this can look awkward, but this is the content, the table of content, where you're gonna see all the prayers and the text. For example, weekday evening prayers for weekdays. Weekday evening. So you're gonna find out on page 2. Weekday morning. So you're gonna find out on page 3. So weekday is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Weekend starts on Saturday, Sunday. Then Tefillah, page 74. So it just shows you everything. And then prayers for Shabbat. So this one we just looked at the prayers for weekdays. Now prayers for Shabbat. Kabbalat, Penim, page 120. Candles, page 120. Kiddush for Shabbat evening. Okay, Kiddush for Shabbat evening. Hope I'm not out of the camera range. I don't want to be out of the camera range, but I want people to see what I'm looking at too, and so on and so forth. And then it has Aleinu Kaddish, Aleinu Kaddish. So you can find out on page 284. And then blessing for the home or synagogue. So they have a blessing for the home or synagogue over here. And if you can see it, so you're gonna see that on page. If you don't see it, I'm just gonna provide commentary. So, blessing for the home or synagogue, blessing for a woman / for a man, page 300. Blessing for a child, Kiddush for Shabbat morning, Kiddush for festival morning, Hamotzi and Berkat Hamazon, page 304. Havdalah, page 308, and then it has songs and Zemirot, songs and Zemirot. and so on and so forth. So this is a very important text. I'm just gathering them, slowly. I'm buying a lot of stuff. Now I'm trying to get a Torah scroll. It's too expensive, but because I'm being strengthened by the hand of God, by the hand of Adonai, by the hand of Elohim, by the hand of El Shaddai, everything will be in order. And then we'll have a further table of contents here. So the table of contents extends all the way to the other. And then we'll have introduction. So introduction. So you're going to read the introduction to this book. Let me just read the first paragraph. It says, while prayer invites us to beseech God, we must also open, just one part of me and then part of the book to appear in this camera. So it says, introduction, while prayer invites us to beseech God, we must also be open to what God wants from us. Samuel Koff wrote, each generation must struggle to hear the call, where art thou? Each must choose to answer, here I am, send me. Each generation, not merely each individual. A Siddur must challenge narcissism. That challenge begins by saying to a worshiper, your voice is here amidst others. Narcissism is a critical valorization of somebody's virtues, values and visions, to the detriment of others. Self-centeredness is different from egoticism, even though the two are joined at the hip. But narcissism is when you just make yourself the center of attraction. I don't know if you have had the axiom or the aphorism that I is illness and we is wellness. So I is not an ideal, but we is an ideal that everybody must aspire to. I is illness, we is wellness. So when you go to the synagogue, the prayer is not going to be about yourself. It has to be about the entire body of the congregation. A Siddur must challenge narcissism, therefore. So then it continues, it says, to hear the call, to realize that prayer is not merely an outpouring of self. That's part of that narcissism that individual Samuel Koff wrote about. It is the opening of our senses to what is beyond ourselves. Send me. Prayer must motivate us to give selflessly. See, I like this. I could go on and on and on and on and read this for you, but and yeah, I've read this, but I couldn't cram everything in my head, so I needed to read it. That's just the first paragraph of the introduction to the Siddur. Okay, so, and then it has other pages, and then it has prayer. See, why I like it is that so let's take this page for example. This is page 176. I just picked it randomly. Random means without any chance that every page has the chance of being selected. So I didn't do it on purpose. So I just chose it randomly. So so you can see on this column. I don't know if you can see it. So on this column is Hebrew text. Then on the adjacent, is it opposite? Yeah, on this other column, let me call it a column because I don't want to confuse the adjacent and opposite. So on this column is the English text, so that if you go into the shul or the synagogue, you can follow along. So this is the Hebrew text, this is English text, and then oh yeah, so and then underneath, I'm sorry, underneath is the English text. So this one is some kind of letters, but this is actually the Hebrew words here. Under it on the bottom is the English. I'm gonna do a research and find out what this is called. This Jewish letters that we see in Israel. But this one is Hebrew text, and then under is the English, so that you can follow along if your Hebrew or your Jewish text is not good enough. So, and then on this page is also English, some form of English translation, just to help you, key along. But so this is the Mishkan Tefillah. It's a Siddur prayer book to help you follow along when you are in a synagogue. So so today so that's what my today's podcast is about tithing, and I hope I was able to answer your questions about tithing, because you are not as a worship leader or as a rabbi or as a high priest or as a cantor or somebody who has authority in an Igbo Jewish synagogue. You are forbidden from receiving tithe from members, but you do have some options. You do have some inventive ways to fund and finance the operations of your synagogue. You can, encourage members to purchase seat, a place they favor in the synagogue, either by the window or the front row or even the back row. That's called the patron system. They can purchase that for a year. After 1 year, they're going to renew it. They purchase it for all members of their families, And then they can also deposit money in the tzedakah box. Tzedakah box is an ancient Jewish ritual where congregants support their synagogue by making substantial contribution into the tzedakah box. They can also raise money through the annual subscription or annual contribution or dues, which is also a way to support their synagogue. Another way they can also raise money is through the invitation of speakers from outside, like a rabbi can come from a different congregation. They're going to raise a love offering, and they're going to use percentage of that money and give it to the rabbi for his transportation, for his welfare, and then the rest they can plow it back to their coffers in order to support the resident rabbi and all the workers there, and also to pay their bills. They can also encourage families who want to perform bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah for their children for 12 years and 13. To also use that opportunity to bless Adonai, to bless Elohim for all his wondrous work over their lives. So these are different ways, and people can raise money for their synagogues, and people can, even for no apparent reason. Maybe they have been blessed in their business. Maybe they have been blessed in their preoccupation or their career. Say, look, God has Elohim, Adonai has done something, extraordinary, something astounding and outstanding in my life. This is my way of giving back to Him. So different ways of raising money to support synagogue, but levying tithing is not part of it, because the synagogue is not a temple, and there are no Levites there. There are only rabbis or priests or chief priests, and so on and so forth. So until I come your way again, this is your Igbo Jewish high priest bringing you word. Thank you so very much.